Today, I'll walk through a side-by-side comparison of exploratory data analysis using Databricks AI BI Genie and DataChat. We're approaching this from a business user's perspective, no added context, seeded SQL examples, or semantic layer, just a plug-and-play experience with cleaned data. For this demonstration, both platforms have been loaded with identical datasets consisting of 4 cleaned big box retail tables: categories, customers, orders, and products. There are over 6 million rows in the dataset across 4 tables. In Databricks, these tables have been connected to the database and loaded into the workspace, and in DataChat, these tables are displayed with cached values for the first 100 rows with a direct connection to a Databricks database. Let's start by asking a question that requires a data point from each of the 4 tables, some calculations, and table joins to get the correct answer. So I'll ask, show me a bar chart of total television category sales by income level for California for people between the ages of 20 and 40. So here we can see that Databricks has generated a plain English summary of what to expect, saying that its analysis provided total sales for TVs sold in California, segmented by income level and age. Here, we see that it provides a table and a chart of that data. Let's take a look at the underlying SQL to confirm the accuracy. Taking a look here, we can see that it has correctly multiplied quantity by unit selling price as total sales and applied the correct segments for California, age, and income level. Databricks was faster in this initial response than DataChat, but if we jump over to the other window, we can see that DataChat's response involves a more in-depth plain English explanation summary that would be appealing to a non-technical user, with the corresponding chart stating each step that was taken to find the answer. Similar to Databricks, hovering over the chart provides the individual values of each bar. The visualization built in DataChat, however, is more appealing to a user and can be shared with others to enable collaboration in real time. If we take a look at the underlying workflow, we can see that instead of a SQL statement, there is a step-by-step process explanation in plain English. This makes it easy to decipher the individual steps that were taken. There is an option to view SQL in DataChat, but the user experience is geared towards the non-technical business user. It took similar steps to Databricks, filtering specifically for California and where age is between 20 and 40. We can see that the correct computation is done, creating a sales column as quantity multiplied by unit selling price. Overall, both executed the question well, with some key differences in result explanation and verification. So from here, I'll ask, visualize sales by state for television category sales 3 weeks before the Super Bowl in 2023. There's nothing in this dataset that tells the agents or LLM which date the Super Bowl was on, so this leverages the knowledge of the LLMs in general. This question helps test an event that has different dates every year, with an arbitrary time frame to look at a period of time while pulling data from 3 tables and creating a visualization. So it looks like Databricks has provided its summary here. If we take a closer look, we can see that it's doing a calculation for 3 weeks, but missing the week before the Super Bowl. In this instance, the Super Bowl was on February 12th, 2023, but this is pulling data from January 15th through February 5th. If we jump over to DataChat's response, we can see that it actually interpreted the Super Bowl date correctly as February 12th and provided each individual step taken to find that answer. If we take a look at the workflow, we can confirm that it correctly pulled those dates for the 3 weeks prior to the Super Bowl, January 22nd through February 11th. From here, let's be a little iterative and say that actually, we'd rather see this data for the Super Bowl in 2022 instead. I'll ask, what about in 2022? It looks like, although Genie is iterative and has applied the previous query to 2022, it's still pulling the incorrect 3 weeks, this time from January 16th through February 6th, despite the Super Bowl being on the 13th. We can confirm that here by seeing the dates defined between 1/16/2022 and 2/6/2022. Looking at DataChat's response now, we can see that it was also able to iterate on the previous query, but accurately applied the 2022 Super Bowl date, February 13th. Looking at the workflow, we can see that the correct filter for January 23rd to February 12th was applied here. Okay, let's take a slightly different direction. I'm going to ask a question that invokes a value that can be interpreted by multiple dates depending on what part of the world you live in, Christmas season. Let's see how each responds. I'll ask, create a comparison bar chart for category sales split by Christmas season versus the rest of the year for all years. I expect the results to vary here as I have not added or provided any additional context to the agents as to what my Christmas season actually is. It looks like Databricks has provided us with a summary stating that it's providing the total sales for each category for the Christmas season and the rest of the year, although it doesn't specify which dates it's using. So here we see that Christmas season is between the 15th of November and the 31st of December for each year. On the DataChat side, we see that it has interpreted Christmas season as the entire month of December instead. Let's say that my holiday season is very specific, from Thanksgiving through the 25th of December. I can add this context to Databricks under Configuration Instructions and press Save. And I'll do the same in DataChat using the dataset definitions in the Data Assistant Dictionary and also press Save. And then from here, I'll rerun this question again, this time instead asking for averages. It looks like Databricks has correctly incorporated my request for averages this time. Let's check the SQL to see which dates it used in the analysis. So here it seems that it did not incorporate my instructions and instead repeated the analysis with the previous dates used, November 15th to December 31st for all years. If we take a look at DataChat's response, we can instead see that it correctly incorporated our context and applied the correct dates based on the English summary. If we take a look at the workflow, we can also see that it has identified the correct Thanksgiving holiday for each of the years and calculated the averages based on each of those individual dates. The comparison demonstrates distinct differences in how Databricks AI BI Genie and DataChat handle complex analytical queries. While both platforms successfully execute basic data analysis tasks, DataChat appears to have a stronger contextual understanding and more accurate interpretation of temporal references that require world knowledge. DataChat also shows better integration of user-defined context, properly incorporating custom business definitions into its analysis where Databricks did not update its parameters based on the new information provided. Additionally, DataChat's workflow provides more transparent and accessible explanations of the analytical process in plain English, compared to Databricks' SQL-based approach. These differences suggest that while both tools serve similar purposes, they may be better suited for different types of users or use cases, with DataChat potentially offering advantages for business users without SQL knowledge who need detailed explanations and better contextual understanding of domain-specific terminology.